All right, so this number one, it wants us to use long division to solve the fraction and then put it in the qx plus rx over dx form. So that just means the quotient plus the remainder over the divisor if you have something left. I'm going to go ahead and show you both ways. I'm going to show you long division and synthetic division. Now, normally starting out, most people like long division better. As we go on, hopefully when you catch on to synthetic, you will like that one better. I think it goes much faster, but I do know that most people tend to like long better. You do need to know both. So here's the process. You start out by writing your divisor, x plus 4 on the outside. And then in the box, you will write your polynomial. You need to make sure you're not missing any terms. So what that means is if this is in standard form, which means your largest exponent is up front, whatever your largest exponent is, and in this case it's a 2, you count from 2 backwards to 0 and make sure you have all your terms. So this is like a x to the second, a x to the first, and then 0. So you're looking at 2, 1, 0. So in this example, we're not missing any terms. If you are missing terms, we would have to put zeros as placeholders, and you will see that when we get there. But for right now, we have all of our terms. So I'm going to write down the polynomial inside the division bar. So we have 4x squared plus 10x, and then minus 14. All right. When you're doing long division, you are only focused on the first term. So that means you're focused on this and this first term only. We want to multiply this by some coefficient so that it's the same as 4. So right now it's understood to be a 1. 1 times 4 would give us 4. So part of my solution up here is a 4. And then right here we have 1x, but I want to have 2x's. So how many more do I need? You need one more x. So you need 4x here. So you have to multiply to get the coefficient, and then the property, you're still multiplying to get the variable, but property of multiplication is adding. So what I mean is just remember property of exponents. If I had, let's say, x to the second times x to the third, the property when you're multiplying means x2 plus 3. So I'm just calling it adding. I'm adding one more x, but you're actually multiplying. And you get x to the fifth if that was the case. All right, but you only focus on the first term. You figure out what you need to multiply to get the leading coefficient or that coefficient the same, and how many more variables do you need to get that to be the same. Once you figure that out, you're basically going to multiply this times both terms. So 4x times x is going to give us 4x squared. And then 4x times 4 is going to give us 16x. Now, right now, both of them are positive. Then you always change signs. You would subtract. That would be the process. So since they're positive, when I change signs, it now becomes negative. You're going to subtract, and then this will always go to 0 because you picked it in such a way that it's equal and to cancel out. Simplify this, and that will give us negative 6x, and then you bring down the next term. And then you continue. So you do the same thing. You start with this term, and now we're only focused on this front term, and I want them to be the same. So I have to multiply by negative 6 to get that to be out front. So I'm going to write a negative 6 up here. And then we already have 1x, and we only need 1, so that's it. We don't need to add any x's. Then from there we multiply. Negative 6 times x will give me a negative 6x. Negative 6 times 4 will give us a negative 24. And then from there, you change the sign. So this will become positive. This will become positive. You always change the signs. And then you would subtract. This would go to 0. And then when I subtract these, I would get positive 10. So there's nothing left. So 10 is your remainder. This up here is your quotient. Okay. And then this was your divisor, x plus 4. That's what we originally started out dividing by right here. So all together, when I put this together, my answer is 4x minus 6. This is what they're calling the cube of x part. And then, since my remainder is a positive 10, I'm going to say plus 10, which is the remainder part. That's the Rx divided by x plus 4. So this is how they want you to write your final answer. So this is that problem solved using long division. And then we're going to show you how to do that also with synthetic. So with synthetic division, you take the divisor, which is x plus 4, and you set it equal to 0. And when you solve, you would subtract 4 from both sides, and that would give you x equals negative 4. So negative 4 is the number that we want to use here. So I'm just going to kind of cut this off. So I'm going to put negative 4. This is what I call my box number. So you take your divisor, set it equal to 0, and then that's the number you put in your box. And then again, you check to make sure you have all your terms. So remember how we talked about you have to have whatever your largest exponent is, you count backwards to 0. So you got 2, 1x, 0x's. We do have all our terms. From here, we only use the coefficients. So that is the 4, the 10, and the 14. We only use the numbers. So I'm going to write 4, 10, and then it is negative 14. And then I'm going to draw a line. You bring the first term straight down, which is 4. And then the process goes like this. Anything below the line, you're going to multiply. So times whatever this number is, you multiply. So when I multiply negative 4 times 4, that gives me a negative 16. You write that result up here, equals the product. Then you subtract, or you do the math here, and here we get negative 6. And then you repeat. So then you do negative 4 times negative 6. That gives us a positive 24. You write that result up here, and then you subtract, and that gives you 10. So this is your remainder. Whatever you get in the last box is the remainder. Notice 4 and negative 6 are the same coefficients that we got here. And so we took the variables out just to simplify and get the numbers, and then we have to go back and put them in at the end of the day. So we got to be mindful of where we started from. Let me write the original problem down. 4x squared plus 10x minus 14, and it was divided by x plus 4. So whenever you do this division process, whatever your biggest degree is, when you start adding those variables back, you got to reduce that degree by 1. So no longer are we looking at x squared, we're looking at just x. So this 4 is 4x, so that's 1, and then minus 6, that has 0, and then we have our 10, which is positive, so we do plus 10, and then over our divisor, which is x plus 4. So both of these methods get you the same answer. You might like I said, long starting out. I used to hate this one, but I love it now. It's so much better and faster just dealing with the numbers once you get the process down. But you just list the coefficients, multiply below the line, write the result on the next column, and then combine. Whatever you get below the line, you just keep multiplying, write the result here, and then keep going. This gives you the coefficients. You started out with the x squared. You go down 1 degree, so you start out with x, and then you just go down from there. So 4x minus 6 plus 10 over x plus 4 is our answer. 4x minus 6